Wow, here we are again. Brother Peter with tidbits from the Word. We've been passing through the book of Genesis, and we're going to review today the line of men that God used. They were called patriots. They were the ones that followed God to the fullest extent. And let's look at from Noah to Abraham, the salvation through the flood. You say salvation through the flood? Yes. Noah and his family came through the flood. We covered this in our last excerpt, but it had been a while. So we're going to look at it again. At the time of Noah, the great flood marked a decline in people. Longevity changed. People lived as much as 900 and some years, on pretty much an average was over 700 years for many people. And as they lived, men married women and more than one, and they also had children by their concubines, and other things happened, and they took many wives, and they had children by those many wives, and men spent much of their time procreating children. And so the earth was 100% covered with people all the way around. And so that's what longevity brought on. Many of these predecessors lived from 500 to 1,000 years. This men lived in the following generations. So we had Noah. He lived 950 years. Shem lived 600 years. If you'll remember, there was Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Noah's children. And then Aphixiad lived 438 years, and Shelah, he lived 433 years. Now, Eber lived 464 years. These people that I'm naming right here were the people that were the godly line of people, even though some of them did not act godly all the time. Neither do we. And Peleg lived 239 years. We see a decline in the amount of years that these people are living. One reason perhaps is that they, instead of serving God to the fullest, they served the flesh somewhat in procreating children. And Reu, 239 years, and Serg lived 150 years. And then we came to Nahor, coming down the line to 148 years, and Terah lived 205 years. And by the way, there is a statement in the Bible that Terah followed the Lord. And then Abraham, 175 years. Here is a godly man, lived less years than Noah did. And why? God was declining the age of men. Now, God commanded Noah to build this massive thing we call a boat. It was an ark. It was 450 feet long, 75 feet wide, and by 45 feet and tall. And it was a barge in a sense of the word, but it was called an ark. Why was it called an ark? Because it was the salvation of mankind for that period of time. 8 people were saved for that period of time to start over again. Just when God said, I am going to destroy all mankind, Noah appeared. He said, make thee an ark of gopher wood. Now, he told him what kind of wood to use. And he had to use gopher wood to build it. Rooms thou shalt make in the ark, and shalt pitch it within and without with pitch. And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of water upon the earth. God said, he verified himself. He said, I, even I, it's me. I'm going to do it. Now I'm bringing this flood of waters upon the earth to destroy all flesh, wherein is the breath of life from under heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. What did God just say? Everything that is in the earth shall die. But with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives with thee. Genesis 6:14-17 through 18. Now, one of Noah's children was going to bring that seed of sin back to life after the ark landed. And the devil did not give up, because Noah started all over again, because God started all over again. But the devil, that seed of sin had been sowed. But with thee I will establish my covenant, and thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons, and thy wife, and thy sons' wives. This is in Genesis 6:14 through 17:18. Noah and his family were joined in the ark by a male and a female of all the earth's animals, including 7 pairs of the clean animals. And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee I have seen righteous before me in this generation. What did God just say? He said, come in. That means he's in the ark. You said, Brother Peter, I believe that you said this in the last excerpt that you did. It needs repeating. Bear with me on it. I'm restudying it. You say, how many times have you studied it? I can't count how many times. Many times. But it's something we need to review. And we need to review it often. He said, have I seen righteous before me in this generation? How many? Are you righteous before God? Is God seeing you righteous? Does God visit your house? Does God come into your house? And when you get home at night, does he say, come in? When he's ready to use you in the morning, does he say, wake up, get up? Does he say that to you? It is now 5, 6, 7 minutes to 4, and I've been studying a while this morning. And Noah did according unto that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. God allowed him to live 350 more years as a righteous man on the earth, even though he had a great sin recorded against him. And that sin was being lax. He got lax. And he actually drank some wine and got inebriated. And we're going to see this. And the Lord said unto Noah, come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Noah did according unto the Lord commanded him, and Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. Noah went in, and his sons, and his wives, and his sons' wives, and his wife, not wives, wife, and his sons' wives with him into the ark, because of the waters of the flood. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. And in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, in the 7th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened, and the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Chapter 7 and verse 1. Chapter 5, verse 7. Chapter 10, verse 12. And the ark successfully survived 371 days on the flood. It came to rest upon the mountains of Ararat. And God remembered Noah and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him, and the ark. And God made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. And the ark rested upon the 7th month, on the 17th day of the month, upon the mountain of Ararat. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth out of the ark. Here is God still. Where is he? He's still in the ark. And he's saying, Go forth out of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons, and thy sons' wives, with thee. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast, of every clean fowl, after a burnt offering on the altar. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, Does God have a heart? What did he just say? And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more every living thing, as I have done, while the earth remaineth seed time and harvest, and cold and heat, and summer and winter, and day and night shall not cease. Chapter 8, verse 1 through 4, chapter 15 and 16, 18, 20 and 22 verses. God established a rainbow, a covenant with Noah, consisting of a command that Noah's 3 sons replenish the earth. Has 3 fellows, and they're wise. Now they're going to fill this earth again. This earth is full all the way around again. It's not as full as it was in the day of Noah, but it is around the earth. And institution, human government, capital punishment were ordained. Do you know what's really astounding? What is astounding? Here it is back in Noah's day. They had no automobiles. They had no transportation. They had no night light other than lamps and oil lit and whatever. But they filled this earth all the way around without what we have to do it now. And institutions, human government, and capital punishment were ordained. A promise that God would never again destroy the world by a great flood. And God said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for a perpetual generations. Perpetual, the word perpetual, look it up. That's continual motion. 100% continual motion. That's perpetual motion. It's like the sun coming up perpetually every day. The moon coming up perpetually every night. The stars are always there. Actually, the moon travels around, but the stars are always there. They are perpetually there. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of covenant between me and the earth. 9, 12 through 13. By the way, the stars are out in the daytime. You just don't see them. When nighttime comes on the earth, you can see all those stars, but they're there. They're like God said to Abraham, he said to Abraham, Abraham, look in the sky. And he said, Abraham, number the stars. Abraham tried counting the stars. He said, God, this can't be done. We can't number the stars. You have so many stars, we can't number them. He said, and I'm going to make you a generation from you, Abraham. That's a spiritual line that cannot be numbered, the number of the stars. And that generation, by the way, all of the Christians of today. What is a Christian? A Christian is a person who is supposedly Christ-like, following God through his Son, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ came to be the mediator for us. Let's look at the tragedy following the flood. All right, Noah, the sot. This is saying that Noah was a sot. What is that? That means a disobedient, somebody who has done something disobedient. And Noah became drunk from his own vineyard and exposed himself within his tent. His son Ham, the grandson Canaan, viewed Noah's nakedness. For some unspecific reason, Canaan especially incurred the wrath of his grandfather. The devil stuck his head up. Here the ark came over with these children and grandchildren. And this is a year or so after. You say, how do you know that, Brother Peter? Because Noah planted a vineyard and he grew grapes. And out of that vineyard, the grapes that he grew, he made wine. And that wine he made caused this great sin. Noah, the seer. Noah predicted the future physical and spiritual lifestyle of his 3 sons and their descendants. Concerning Canaan, the seed, Canaan. I had an ant crawling on my Bible, and I wanted him to get back to where he belongs, so I blew him off the Bible so that he can find his family and increase the ant population. You say, Brother Peter, why didn't you kill the ant? Why would I kill the ant? The ant cleans up the place, and the ant keeps things clean. He marches back and forth and carries off things that would mold and cause problems here. The ant is a good animal. God made the ant to clean up the earth. Canaan especially incurred with the wrath of his grandfather. Noah, the seer. Noah predicted the future physical and spiritual lifestyle of his 3 sons and their descendants. Concerning Canaan, that his seed would be in servitude to the seed of his brethren. It was fulfilled in Joshua. If you go to the book of Joshua, chapter 9 and verse 27, you will see the procreation of this line of people. Concerning Shem, that from his seed would come the Messiah. That was fulfilled in Matthew 1:1, when Jesus came on the scene in the book of Matthew. Concerning Jesus, it tells us. All right, concerning Japheth, that his seed would dwell in tents of Shem, fulfilled in Romans 11:13 through 29. And you need to look those scriptures up and see where we are there. Now, we just covered, you say, Brother Peter, I believe that you covered this last week perhaps, or sometime in a very recent future past. you had covered this. I needed to read it again. I needed to go over it again. I needed to review it again. I needed to see it again. I needed for my own seeing what God thinks of sin, what he thought of sin. He thought enough against sin to destroy all of the people that were not saved through the grace of God. Now we knew there was one man, his name was Noah. God looked around the whole world. He found one man whose heart was after God's own heart. His name was Noah. And Noah's whole family was not necessarily after God's own heart, but God saved his family unto him. That's not the same way it is now. Each person today in every family has to find his own way. Now, if a godly father, my daddy was a godly man. My mother was a godly woman. And they brought a generation into the world of 6 children. And those 6 children, out of those 6 children, some of us went to heaven. I would like to think that all of us went to heaven, but I don't know that. Each individual, when they died in my family, were individuals that knew whether they were going to heaven or not. I have one sister still alive. All other 5 of my siblings are gone. And one sister still alive. And she follows the Lord. Her and her husband, they live in Ohio. We won't hold that against them. And they follow the Lord. And that is important. Now, Noah's Ark. If I was to get into this excerpt on Noah's Ark, it would carry me into a 45-minute deal here. But I'm going to close this one out, and the next excerpt that I do will be on the 25th of this month, the 11th month, and will be right after this, and it's going to be the exclamation of the ark and of the comments on Noah's 3 sons after the ark landed. And we will cover that in our next excerpt. So we will see you next time. This is a 22-minute one here. We'll see you next time, right? Bye-bye.